Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Anne Marie, and today I'm going to discuss the 10 Things I Love About You, The Fellowship of Puzzlemakers by Samuel Burr. Before we begin, let me remind you that I will not reveal any plot twists, nor will I spoil any surprise endings, so don't worry about that. The whole point of this is to give you an inside peek into the book. If you've already read it, or if my video inspires you to do so, and you feel compelled to add to my list, feel free to do so in the comments, and I will take a look. So here we go. The Fellowship of Puzzlemakers is about a 25-year-old man named Clayton Stumper, who was abandoned at birth on the steps of the Fellowship of Puzzlemakers, which is essentially a commune of eccentric people who love puzzles. Having been raised by the people in this commune, his world falls apart when the main maternal presence in his life, Pippa Allsbrook, passes away. Upon her death, however, she bestows a final puzzle on Clayton. The quest she sends him on promises to reveal the mystery of his parentage and the circumstances surrounding his birth, because this is something he would like the answers to. The first thing I love about the Fellowship of Puzzlemakers is the Fellowship of Puzzlemakers. In Chapter 3, we learn that in its heyday, it was the biggest independent producer and distributor of puzzles anywhere in Europe. In Chapter 5, we learn that the 8 current residents survive off the royalties of over 200 individually licensed products, which sell in the UK and internationally. On their own, each puzzle turns over modest sums, but collectively, it amounts to enough for them all to live comfortably. This cumulative approach to business is everything the Fellowship stands for. One of their mottos being, to go further, go together. Everything they have is the result of teamwork. Although they each have individual talents, they work together and need each other to make the commune successful. The second thing I love about this book is Pippa Allsbrook. She was the founder and president of the Fellowship of Puzzlemakers, who established the club and brought together like-minded puzzlers. Her goal was to create a society of enthusiastic amateurs, anyone who reveled in and had the mental capacity for fiendish games and challenges. In addition to turning the society into a thriving commune, Pippa worked as a crossword setter and was the chairwoman of the British Crossword League. At Pippa's wake, one of the Fellowship members toasts her for being not just their leader, but their landlady, confidant, muse, and friend. Clayton Stumper then adds, quote, and the most extraordinary mother a boy could ask for. The third thing I love about the Fellowship of Puzzlemakers is Clayton Stumper. Left in a hat box on Pippa's doorstep when he was a baby, he was raised in her commune of puzzle makers. He's a very loving person who grew old before he grew up, because he was raised by older people. Pippa, the woman he always considered his mother, was 64 when she received him on her doorstep. Now 25 years old, Clayton wants to know where he came from. He wants to know who left him at Pippa's doorstep when he was a baby. He wants to discover his roots. Knowing he wanted this, Pippa created a puzzle-like quest for him that begins with him finding the hat box he was left inside 25 years ago. The fourth thing I love about the Fellowship of Puzzlemakers is the puzzling quest Pippa created for Clayton prior to her passing. It starts with a personal letter from her to Clayton, basically telling him that life is complicated and won't always be straightforward, but that nothing worth solving ever is. Although finding the answers won't be easy, she doesn't want him to just solve the puzzles. She wants him to experience them. This is her way of kicking him out of the nest and forcing him to find his way beyond the walls of the commune. Pippa's complicated quest includes a crossword, an acrostic, a puzzle box, an ornate skeleton key, a crypto grid, an intricate ring with a hidden engraving, an oil painting in a gilt frame, and a jigsaw puzzle. All the riddles and puzzles make this book a clever and engaging read. The fifth thing I love about this book is its format. The chapters alternate between past and present, and so we get to read about how the Fellowship started in 1979 and progressed through the years. while simultaneously reading about Clayton's present-day quest to discover his biological parents. This format is interesting because in addition to reading about the elderly characters who currently live with Clayton in the commune, we also get to read about them roughly 40 years ago when they were a lot younger. For example, one of the characters named Earl Vossy, now 80 years old, is described as being small and fragile, whereas 40 years ago he stood an easy 6 feet 2 and had long blonde hair that fell to his shoulders. Earl Vossy is number 6 on my list. He's considered the master of mazes because he created dozens of hedgerow mazes located all around the world. In the commune, Earl is Clayton's father figure. In Chapter 5, we learn that Earl taught Clayton how to ride a bicycle, a red chopper everyone had chipped in to get him for his 5th birthday. Earl took Clayton to his first cricket match, bought him his first shaving set, and encouraged him to pursue an education. In Chapter 52, Clayton admits that if the Fellowship were his extended family, it was always Pippa and Earl who were his parents. The two of them always loved him like a son. The 7th thing I love about this book is how each of the characters in the commune has a unique talent. Presently, there are 8 people living in the commune, and each has a specified role. Their names and titles are listed at the beginning of the book, before the story begins. For example, as I mentioned earlier, Earl Vossy is the master of mazes because he designs hedgerow mazes. Hector Haywood is an artist who paints images for jigsaw puzzles. Eric Stoppard makes mechanical puzzles. And Gene Watkins looks after all trivia-based products made by the commune. There's also an arithmetician, a games master, and a metal and glass maker. The queen of quizzes is number 8 on my list, Miss Nancy Stone. We're introduced to her character in Chapter 3 at Pippa's wake, but it isn't until Chapter 10 that we learn more about her past, including how she met Pippa and how she got involved with the Fellowship of Puzzlemakers. All in all, she's an extremely intelligent, clever, helpful London taxi driver who smokes, knits, and who's always been fond of older gentlemen. Yeah, I hear you, Nancy. The 9th thing I love about this book is Scylla Millington. She's a 79-year-old, soon-to-be 80-year-old woman who Clayton meets on a bench in Queen's Park. A chance encounter, she's there having lunch with her scrappy Yorkshire Terrier, and Clayton strikes up a conversation with her. What he does for her in Chapter 29 gives us greater insight into Clayton's character. Author Samuel Burr uses this opportunity to show us how loving and considerate Clayton is, rather than simply tell us. And that brings me to the 10th thing I love about the Fellowship of Puzzlemakers. This is a heartwarming story about friendship, family, finding ourselves, and discovering where we fit in. Using Clayton Stumper and a quirky cast of enigmatologists, author Samuel Burr takes readers on a unique journey of love, loss, joy, heartache, and puzzles. Clayton's quest to discover his biological parents ultimately turns into him discovering himself. It makes for a beautiful story that will challenge your mind and warm your heart. If you've read the book and would like to add to my list of things to love, feel free to do so in the comments. Until next time, take care, be well, and happy reading.